You ready, Vincent?
Mm-hmm. Hey, we're talking about the social media paradox. Up next on Geek Out SA.
Controlled the street.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun, and hopefully you can hear us good. Been messing with like mics and levels, and we just mess with stuff like she's not talking. So,
I don't know. We'll see if they can hear me.
but we're going to talk about the social media paradox.
So you say.
So I say. So we've come up with a lot of things to talk about, and we've run out of stuff to talk about. So now we're going to talk about social media and the paradox that lies there within.
Okay.
So, um, so what are your first thoughts on social media?
It makes me sick to my stomach because I have a serious self-esteem problem, and so I work really hard to try to get people to like me, and social media makes it even worse. You've seen it happen to me where I really struggle if we don't get views, likes, if people don't respond to something that I've posted or whatever.
Yeah.
Social media is very hard for somebody like me. I very much struggle with it, and it's probably more harmful to me than it is beneficial to me. So,
Mhm.
um,
As when I thought when it first came out, I think when it first started, it was a good concept. It was a way to bring people together. But then you have to be able to make money off of that, and that's where everything changed.
well, I think not only did it change in making money, and I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it changed to the extent that we only get sound bites of things that match with things that we already think that we like and believe. And so I feel like it very much steers people,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they don't have a mind of their own and they don't have the opportunity to realize that it's steering
Yeah.
them.
Well, a lot of people go through and kind of believe that AI is going to eventually take over,
Well, because we've seen the Terminator, so obviously.
but AI has already taken over every aspect of our lives, especially when it comes to social media. When you're going through and let's say you're doing a Google search, let's say you're searching for, I don't know, arcade. So I'm going to get different search results and different predictive searches based on what I've searched before. So my search will look different from your search.
Right. So, as a teacher, on one side of that, it's actually been really helpful for me in this virtual learning
Mm-hmm.
situation because I teach English language arts, and so we're trying to show the students how things connect across different platforms of reading and
Right.
genre and stuff, right? So we go to these different websites, which again, we're going through our Google, right? We have Google Suite as educators, so we're
Mm-hmm.
going through it. It's tracking everything, right, that we're doing. So my first week, we get an article and it's about kimchi. And it's about the traditions and like how the different families do it. And I'm like, great, like we're gonna start with kimchi, we're gonna talk about these traditions, fine. So then we're like, well, how can we transition from like that food, and let's not just do food, but maybe something that will like interest the kids and get them reading, right? And so we're like, oh, look, there's this article about insects using insects in ice cream. Okay, perfect. So we're like looking and we're like doing some other stories and stuff with it. And then we're like, oh, well, let's look up insects again and see if we get anything. And we're like, oh my God, there's this article about how we're going to have to use insects on Mars and stuff, right? And
And you
then,
think, oh, what a coincidence! How lucky I am to have found this. You're not lucky.
So you blew my mind when you said. I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I'm like really like figuring this out. I'm like following this trail, right? Because then this week I typed in astronauts for like the following week because I thought, okay, we'll go from insects to Mars, and then we'll go to astronauts and their legacy and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my god, I just found this article about how they're gonna have kimchi on the International Space Station for this astronaut from Korea. I'm like, oh my god, I found the perfect article. And then you were like, no, you didn't. Like the AI predicted it for you. It saw all the searches that you've been doing all this week, these weeks, and it predicted this and gave you this article. And I was like,
Yeah,
but it's good in a way,
it's good in that respect. Yes, it is.
but not if I stayed on a specific train of thought and I wasn't adding anything else. Like we've been adding poetry, like about a legacy of a grandma who wants to pass on, like learning how to make rolls, and the little girl doesn't want to learn, but the little girl really doesn't want to learn because she's afraid her grandma's going to die.
Right.
So you have to kind of read through the poem. But so we've added some other things in to supplement it. But if we weren't those kind of people, I can see how this would take you down a path and it would just keep leading you.
Right. But here's the thing with that. Let's say, I said arcade at first. Let's say I look up something with politics. So if I'm looking up something with politics, well, it's going to start looking at everything that I've been searching and then start suggesting stuff that I like. So it's going to go one way.
Well, yeah. So
or it'll go the other way. There's not really any in between. You have to go. When you want to get true facts, you need to dive deep into your searches and not necessarily pick the first ones that go through. You actually have to research, check out scholarly websites.
I wouldn't use Google to do that because Google pushes all your searches in one direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do the same search on Google and then do it on Yahoo and then do it on MSN, you'll get totally different results.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposedly going to the same internet.
Right, but it's where they're taking. So have any of y'all gotten the thing from Facebook asking you if you want to participate in the survey, and you can get $25 to participate in the political survey?
What, to turn off your Facebook? I got one to turn off my Facebook.
It didn't ask me yet to turn off my Facebook. It just asked me what information, like where do I lean politically and stuff like that. And I was like, I'll answer it and see what they do. And then like basically I answered it, and there's the options to put like other, and so I would put other, and I put like some nasty comments or whatever. But then they haven't contacted me back since. So I'm like, oh, I'm one of those people that you don't think you can lead me in one direction or another, because I don't like click on any of the Facebook ads or anything.
Yeah, we have something from Patrick from No One Create. We had these conversations before, showing you only what it thinks you want to see. So you have to question what the AI is hiding from you, and how, especially in today's climate, hides content on real issues.
Yeah.
Like you're going through, and I was trying to do a search on hydroxychloroquine. Mm-hmm. You can start searching one way or the other, and when you start searching one way, it takes you on that path to go one way, and when you search on the other way, it takes you on that path. But when you try to find facts on it,
it's hard to find.
It's hard to find facts on it. Real hard.
Generally, when I'm looking for any
like
kind of
I saw like one medical journal on hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. Whenever I'm trying to look at something like that, I go for a peer review. But that's because I'm fortunate enough to know how to read a peer-reviewed article. If you don't know how to read a peer-reviewed article, if you don't have any kind of science background,
that, because I had you look at it after I did, because I kind of understood it, but I didn't know, and I knew you worked with that kind of stuff, so I was like, well, what does this actually mean to you? Mm-hmm. And you kind of filled me in on what it meant. And
but yeah, for an everyday person to try to go learn that and to understand what it means. And I tend to lean a little more towards the liberal, And so when I'm searching for stuff, I get things from like the Washington Post, the
Right.
New York Times, right? That stuff is always coming up for me.
Mhm.
And then, when I try to argue with anybody else and I'll use those things as facts, then they're like, oh, well, those are left leaning and, you're just getting that because you're on the left. And maybe that's true. Maybe
Yeah.
when I do look for these issues, that does pop up for me because I do tend to lean that direction.
And Facebook does a real poor job at the steer. Well, it does a really good job at steering because it steers you. It steers you in the way that they think that you're leaning.
Well, it even steers you to the
Even if
extent
you're
that
like slightly leaning.
it steers you to the extent that it even cuts you off from people that are on your friends list, and it really narrows down who you're seeing comments from, who you're getting information from. I go every day that I go to check Facebook, and I go and I click on the most recent, and I just scroll through from most recent.
Did you
down.
finally hear that? What was that basketball player's name that was all into the flat Earth theory?
Oh yeah.
He's now recanted what he said before and all the stuff that he was pushing, because when he was doing his searches and all that stuff, when he started searching it started going down that lane and seeing all this stuff, all the craziness that was created because the Earth is not flat.
It's not flat. So it's funny that you and I talk about this because let me bring this stuff because even children understand this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my gifted kids, right? So
Right.
I have the advantage that I work with the gifted kids, so they're a little bit smarter than the average bear, and some of them not, but we still have good conversations. So we were messing around and said something, and then one of the kids was like, "Oh well, Texas just needs to secede from the union, right? And we'll just become our own country, like we can have our own borders and stuff, and forget the United States and forget Mexico. We're not going to be part of either one of them, right?" And then one of the other kids was like, yeah, and we'll just dig a moat, like right around like where Oklahoma is and stuff, right? And not let anybody in. And then one of the other kids was saying, well, let's just like put a big charge up underneath it and like up underneath the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll just blow ourselves off the damn planet, and we'll just become our own flat Earth, and we'll become Texas flat Earth with Gulf of Mexico, and I'll become the communist leader of flat Earth. And I was like, that's like a good idea. And I was like, okay. And then so and so, and I said the kid's name, and I was like, and you're going to be in charge of the GoFundMe, and you're going to put the GoFundMe out so that we can get enough money so that we can blow Texas off the face of the planet and become the new flat Earth. And they were like, yeah, but then somebody will catch you and you'll get sued, and it'll be like scandal with Bernal middle school students. Flat Texas society, incorrect. Yeah. Do not give money to GoFundMe. So even kids realize that it's this string of things, right, that lead you to this ridiculousness.
Mm-hmm.
Even children understand that the Earth is not flat, right? Even children understand that GoFundMes are kind of a hack thing to a certain extent, right? And everybody's like throwing out their GoFundMe, right, and you're getting this like, oh, woe is me, and pay for my stuff and everything, and they realize that they're getting fed this information about seceding from the union and they realize that all the grown-ups are like insane.
But here's what I have a problem is that the government thinks that these social media companies should regulate the facts, what's true or not. How do they know what's true or not?
Right.
And why are they there to determine that?
Well,
or who should be there to determine that?
But I think that to an extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is because you have this hive mindset now on social media, and so when a false fact gets out there, you get the people that are not as smart as the average bear, that are about as smart as a rock, and they all get together and they believe this false fact, and then here come the pitchforks and stuff, and they're out there ready to riot over something that's totally not true.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that people, because you're adept at using Photoshop, people can fake photos.
Mm-hmm.
People can write. People still believe the freaking Onion. Like, seriously. It's not real, people. It's a parody. But somebody will put something out by the Onion, and sure enough, I'll see people on Facebook and they're commenting on it, and they're all enraged over something that's not real.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if there's a social media survival of the fittest, because a lot of people are not fit enough to read the information, research it down a couple of paths, like you said, make a determination, and there's a knee-jerk reaction on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this thing upsets me and pisses me off. I'm gonna rage about it.
But here's the thing: when you're researching it, people just research like either for or against.
Yeah,
but they're just go down that one path. They start seeing for. Oh, well, that makes sense. Let me keep searching it, without going through and seeing the other side.
But see, then you're talking about a problem with our media in general. The problem with media in general is media has become biased, and media was never supposed to be biased. Media is supposed to be factual.
Mm-hmm.
Media was factual representation of what is going on. And all media is biased now. You have the right and you have the left. And in one way or another, whether they lean drastically,
I think there's still media out there that.
Where?
Yeah, there's still
one.
Some out there.
Pick one.
Tell me one.
Yeah, pick one that doesn't lean one way or the other. They all lean.
Well, everybody leans one way or the other.
But the media is not supposed to.
But they'll put it.
It's just like
there's
doctors
some that put
are not
out,
supposed to say no to a patient.
There's a lot of but there's a lot of reporters that still will report the facts.
No way.
Yes, there is. There is.
No.
There is. There's scholarly
it,
journals.
They even put it on their own social media, because a lot of their personas in the news, right, is who they are. And you've seen it on social media, because you follow some of these journalists on social media. They will put whether they're conservative, they will put whether they're liberal, they will put what they believe in. As a journalist, unfortunately, you're not allowed to have any beliefs.
Well, yeah, you're allowed to have beliefs. You just can't have beliefs on air.
Or when you write.
Or when you
report on a piece. But it has become more and more acceptable for the media.
Because the media has become more and more editorialized. Entertainment.
It's entertainment. Ever since things like TMZ and stuff like that, you know, they took that, and then mainstream media started to roll with stuff like that, because they were like, oh, well, they're making a ton of money, hand over fist, so let's sensationalize everything.
Like, I started looking at a lot, like I like watching Spectrum News, because that's probably kind of center leaning, or it's like right in the center. It's not left, it's not right. They report facts, but that's not necessarily what everybody watches. But Spectrum News, I find their information to be accurate and factual, and they're just reporting the facts that are going on, and they'll usually report both sides.
Mostly they reporting local.
Like, also. Did you hear that? Who is it? Chris Evans made a website that kind of discusses issues, but it discusses the left side and the right side, or liberal and conservative. And that's something that's coming up, because people are getting fed up with
just getting fed one side.
I am. A lot of people are happy about it. They'll go through, oh yeah, this is this, but the truth is somewhere that lies in the middle.
Aside from them, like, just feeding us that kind of stuff, though, do you think that there are some benefits to businesses, to shopping, to commerce, in us getting fed certain things and them seeing what our likes are and our trends are? Or is it all negative?
The thing is, it's good for small business to advertise on, like, Facebook or anything like that, because they can target. You can go through and select a target audience that will be more likely to want to take a look at your product.
Mhm.
So it's good in that respect. But then what's happening with that is Facebook and all the other social medias, they're there to sell our information, and our information is their commodity.
Right.
But we don't get anything out of it but access to a free service. So you get access to a free service, but in order to have access to that free service, our information, our demographic information, and our viewing habits, not necessarily our names or anything like that, but our habits are kind of focused in on.
Mhm.
Because everybody think, oh, they know your name and everything. They don't really know your name. They know that they want to feed you this information.
Right.
Dude, they've created a digital copy of you out there on the internet. That's how these things are.
Well, yeah, it's a digital copy of what we like.
Like what your demographic is and what you like and everything.
Basically, everything that you are is
Mhm.
in this algorithm.
Mhm. Well, and that's where a lot of the job market is going to start going too. Is towards people that are watching these systems, that are doing this data mining, that are feeding things to advertising to companies, trying to get them to come in and say, oh, well, we can data mine and find this out for you or whatever. So
I mean, the reason that there was such an upset on the last presidential election is because they used social media better than the Democrats did. They did.
Yeah.
They did. They pumped way more money into social media because Democrats have no idea what social media is. And it was proven when they were questioning Mark Zuckerberg. When you were looking at it, it was like, y'all look like idiots. You have no idea what social. Well, how do you make
But
money giving them a free service? Well, we sell ads.
But doesn't that
Yeah.
isn't that indicative though of who social media is targeting? If these politicians, if these one percenters, I've read articles recently that a lot of the like Silicon Valley people and stuff are keeping their kids away from technology.
Mm-hmm.
So is that indicative of who their market is and who they're trying to target is the average person?
Well, there was more regulations on Saturday morning cartoons than there is on the internet. Back in the day, we've had that in place forever. So you couldn't do commercials about like cigarettes during that time.
Right,
You couldn't do about alcohol during that time. And
which is funny because they used to smoke like in Tom and Jerry cartoons and stuff. So I think that's funny that they couldn't advertise those things. Those probably came after those.
That came after.
Yeah.
that was more during the kind of like 70s to 80s time when they started doing that. Patrick has something here. With Facebook and Twitter's recent announcements to delete posts if Trump were to win, I think they have violated Article 230 protection. I don't know what 230 protection is. I think we've talked about that before, but I don't recall. So a lot of people are expecting social media to do something about it. But if not even government understands what social media is or how it's run, how are they going to help regulate that? I don't see that happening unless something specifically is set out. You can do this, you cannot do this.
Well, even when we were talking about language and everything in comic books the other day, even comic books have regulations because there was a witch hunt against them and that they were making us all evil and stuff like that. So it's interesting that that video games have been attacked, that comic books have been attacked, that advertising on television has been attacked, and yet social media runs rampant. So I think that sends a clear message that it's not going to be regulated. They don't want it to be regulated. It turns the chaos. It keeps things going. It's a good bait and switch, right? So it keeps us from paying attention to what's really going on. So we'll see.
We have Max Dawson, or the urban journalist, on. He's, what's up, Geek Out SA?
Hey, I don't know. We're all talking heavy stuff tonight. It's like drugged me down. I was like,
I have to be heavy.
I know
today.
I wasn't already tired and overwhelmed by the world, but please, Vince, drag me down.
So you talk about a lot of the kids in Silicon Valley are being taken away from this social media and this technology, and that's kind of a good thing because they have psychological algorithms that go through and that's why they came up with likes, because how do they keep you on Facebook longer? Oh, well, like this. Oh, somebody liked your stuff. Oh, let me go check that out. Let me go look at their stuff, which gives them more time to be able to show you more advertisements so they can sell
what's
your information.
Interesting with Facebook, and this has happened on Facebook groups, they've changed the terms and conditions on a lot of the Facebook groups, and what they've said is basically if you get too many frowny faces and crying on posts, they will start removing posts, and that if you are a moderator of a group that has too many crying or sad faces, the group will possibly be deleted, and your account, because you moderate it, will possibly be deleted.
Really?
Yes.
How does that even make, like, what if it's like a grief group or something where it's like
it doesn't make a lick of sense. It's like, well, if you don't like these things, then take away the stupid frowny face. Put an exploding unicorn there instead.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be people who are sad or negative, and some of these groups are there because it's like, parents who've lost children and they're in a group together so that they can talk to people across the world because maybe there's not anybody that they know in their area, or it's people that are dealing with mental issues or whatever, and so they're trying to talk to people across the world. There are benefits to social media. There are benefits to meeting other people on social media that you may not have had access to in where you live. And for them to dictate, like, I mean, I get it. Like, if your social media is like guns and death and I'm going to go shoot up a school and stuff, yes, we should definitely be doing something about that, right? But too many sad faces, like, you can't dictate how I feel about something, and maybe there's some jerk in there who just wants to be sad face about everything.
They can, because you signed a little thing that said you will agree to all their rules.
Yeah. It would probably be
that
better
long thing that nobody ever reads.
That nobody ever reads, and we click yes, okay.
It'd probably be better for most of us if they kicked us off anyway. It would be better for me, probably, I think, if they just got rid of.
Well, here's the thing: is how often do you go through and you're either sitting at your desk or you're at the park, but you take out your phone and just look at it every time. We're addicted to that feeling of what's happening next on all our social medias, and some of us are on more than one social media.
Oh,
we're checking
I have
all of them.
Instagram, I have Twitter, and I have several of them. I have my personal ones, I have my teaching ones, I have our Geek Out SA ones. We had Game Expo ones when we had Game Expo. We have ones for our game company. So yeah, so not only is it that somebody cannot like me as a person, somebody could not like me as a co-host of this YouTube show, somebody could not like me as a teacher, somebody could not like me as a game designer, and so that's like all coming at you constantly, inundating, and then you see your friend, and your friend's got this like stupid stinking post on Instagram or whatever, and then they get like 500,000 likes, or somebody who's putting out their cha-chas, and everybody's like looking at their tetas and like looking at them, and they've got like a million likes, and you're like, well, I can't do that. that's not something I can do to get attention or whatever. So, and nobody's gonna ever like me because I'm old and I'm fat and I don't put out my chachas, and then everybody first to see them, and so nobody's ever gonna like me. And then you get all depressed, and you're like, and then you keep looking at it. Well, did somebody like it yet? Well, did 5 more people liked it? Okay, and it's like,
And that's by design. That keeps you going back,
uh-huh.
and that keeps you going through, so they can advertise to you more, which is a crazy thing. When the initial point was to get people connected together,
I don't think it
and
ever was.
and that's not a thing. That's how the majority of the people looked at it.
Right. I'm sure
when
that
when
the
they were making
developers
it,
didn't look at it that way.
no, the developers did look at it that way, and when it went south, a lot of them left.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are speaking up about that because they've seen where social media has gone, and they don't like it. That's not what they were told they were going to do.
Yeah. In theory, it seems like a good idea, to connect people. But then sometimes there are groups of people that have things in
You're an
common.
amazing and beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
The urban journalist said.
Sometimes there are groups of people that probably shouldn't be congregating and getting together and sharing their life ideas.
Said Torres says nobody wants to see my chachas. My chachas.
But there are some groups of people that probably shouldn't be congregating and shouldn't have Facebook groups and shouldn't be perpetuating the things that they're perpetuating,
Mm-hmm.
But this is a free country, right? And so we tend to allow those kinds of things. So where do you draw the line? That's the thing. Should you be allowed to draw the line, or do you have to let it be what it is? And if there's a group of people that want to get together and be hateful, do you have to allow that?
I think you do. I mean, I think you do in America anyway.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, who? But that's the thing. Who is anyone to tell others what they should think?
Well,
how they should think.
I think because we are a social species within a social construct, that there needs to be certain niceties, right? Because of the way our species has decided to live, right?
I think the rule of thumb is you should just be kind.
Right, but people don't know how to do that. Right? And they think, well, I am kind, but only to white people.
I'm being kind because I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah. I mean, it's real kind of me to tell you to go back to your country.
Yeah.
And when your country's like the same country that you're already in.
Yeah.
Oh, you're telling me to stay here?
Okay. I'd like to stay here. Thank you.
Well,
that's where I'm from.
like I was looking at a TikTok, and there was this lady there. She was talking. Oh yeah, you're talking about my lazy eye. Oh, like I hate things that are lazy, so I'm just gonna take it out, and then she pops out her fake eye. And it just kind of makes you wonder, just like why would people like point that out, and they like to go through and point out flaws in people.
Because TikTok is like the worst for that.
Yeah, I've stopped. Like, it was entertaining, but I just don't have enough bandwidth for all of it. But it was cute and funny and entertaining at the time, because I think it gives people a certain sense of self to go and be mean to people.
Here's one from Patrick. Roadhouse rules: be nice until it's time not to be nice.
Until it's time not to be nice. I think that it gives people a sense of self. It's people who feel bad about themselves already, and so then they go attack somebody else because they're like, oh, well, there's somebody who's fatter than I am, or there's somebody who has a lazy eye, or there's somebody who's got like a gimpy arm or whatever, or there's somebody who's little and didn't have hormones and didn't grow or something, or that person got hit with an ugly forest in their face. I mean, there's unfortunate people out there, right?
Aren't there people that kind of, didn't their mamas tell them, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all?
Nobody tells their kids that anymore. In fact, it's like, oh, if you don't have something nice to say, go say it louder and tell it to their face, and dig them into the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
You're better. Everybody now believes that they're better than other people, and let's just kick people while they're down and dig it in the dirt. Not everybody's like that. That's totally like an exaggeration, but because I see
it often.
I see it less now. And maybe it's because where I'm at, it's more of a military community.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a different view on like respect and how to treat others, and especially because they have to lean on each other should they go to battle or something like that.
Right.
So they have a different view on respect, and so they teach their children differently. I have seen it in schools where I worked before, though, where kids are like, my mama told me I don't take no lip from nobody because I'm so and so. Well,
what already?
Like, you're so and so. Who does that make you? You know?
Yeah. Jose Torres says we need more Mama Gumps in today's society. I think we do.
Yeah, the problem is we don't have Mama Gumps. We have influencers.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Right. I mean, I was just working my tail off every moment of every day to try to get kids not to like Logan and Jake Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really big problem with some of these people that they idolize through YouTube and through social media and now through TikTok and stuff like that, because they're not good people and they get a lot of attention because they do a lot of really stupid and really cool things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to combat stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is. Especially when the grown-ups a lot of times don't even know that those things are out there. So it's going to take the grown-ups paying more attention to what their kids are finding on social media and stuff.
Here's one thing that I do. Like, I don't take my phone into the bedroom at night. It doesn't go in there because my phone has its places. Like, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, I go to bed and I kind of like, I'm shutting down, keeping away from all social media, and I don't know. That's a thing that I do to kind of like take a break from it.
We used to do that to the kids when they were
because
kids.
I remember
take it away.
When I started watching TikTok, 2 hours would go by and it felt like you were just on there for 5. What? It's 2 hours. I was like, that's 2 hours of your life wasted that you could have like done something else or created something else. I could have like developed a game in 2 hours. And that's when I'm just starting to see it's kind of like affecting everybody's lives.
Which is why I'm hoping the virus will actually change some of that. I know that the virus is terrible and stuff, but I was really hoping.
I think it's making it worse.
You think so?
Yes.
I mean, what else do people have to do?
Because we don't have social interaction with each other.
Yeah.
Physical social interaction, it's now all online, so it's just amping up everything that we're doing online.
I think at first families were spending more time together, and now with no school and everything for such a long time, they're just starting to get really agitated with each other. So yeah, I can see that being a problem. I guess we gotta go, Vincent.
Yeah.
You paradoxed me to death. Yeah.
That was a good one. I thought this was good. A good conversation.
It's a little dark. It's a little deep for our geek essay.
Yeah. Well, sometimes
it's okay for us to be deep.
Sometimes it's okay for us to be deep because.
I mean, we do have intellect and we do have ideas and stuff.
I don't know.
Speak for yourself.
I go a day without social media.
Go camping.
Go camping.
That's what we do. It's great. It's super great.
Because you go there and then
there's
you
no
can't.
Service.
There's no service.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's perfect, and you don't have to like worry about anything. You don't have to look at email because even email affects you.
Mm-hmm.
So, try go camping.
Unplug.
Just unplug. But thanks for checking us out. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, click that subscribe button and click that notification bell so the next time we go live, you know, or we put out a new video, you'll know.
Because we have to say that because we're fools like everybody else.
Yes.
So click that
Because
button.
I just want somebody to like me.
Yeah.
Like me. I love you guys.
Somebody did like us today, Colin. It was just fear.
Thank you.
Ride motorcycles. Yeah, you can do that too.
Yes.
But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart.
Geek out, I say. On this, so I kind of
Yeah, I found the new rules that came in because our groups are going crazy at the moment. Everybody's going, well, people can't put sad faces now because they'll shut down our group and they'll kick our profiles off. You go,
You're like, okay.
yeah.